Eli Ward had always known that working on an alien starship would be strange, but nothing had prepared him for how different life actually felt once he stepped onto the vessel. Back on Earth, he had trained for years as a technician, learning everything from advanced water systems to atmospheric filters. He expected technical challenges, long work hours, and difficult alien machines that used energy fields he had never even heard of. What he did not expect was the constant feeling of being watched, not in a threatening way, but in a curious one. Everywhere he went, the tall, silver-skinned crew members would pause their work and look at him as if he was the most interesting object in the galaxy. They were kind, peaceful, and very polite. But they had one trait that Eli struggled with every single day: they did not understand the idea of personal space. Their species, the Ori, had evolved on a planet full of storms and dangerous wildlife. They survived by staying very close to one another, always moving in groups, always touching shoulders, always working together. That habit had followed them even into advanced space travel. On their ship, the corridors were narrow and built for bodies to brush past each other. Meeting rooms had no chairs. The Ori preferred to sit close together on soft floor cushions. Even their sleeping rooms were arranged in clusters because they disliked being alone. He learned to expect someone to stand right behind him during work, often so close that he could feel their breath on his neck. It made him nervous, but he reminded himself, again and again, that they meant no harm. They simply lived differently. The only Ori who truly tried to understand him was Lyra, a scientist who worked in the water recycling wing. She was shorter than the others, with bright silver markings on her arms that showed she came from a coastal region of her home planet. She was friendly, curious, and surprisingly patient. When the other Ori crowded too close, she gently waved them aside. When Eli looked confused by a new machine, she explained it slowly. And when he needed quiet space to think, she walked him to the observation deck, where almost no one went during the mornings. She became his closest friend on the ship, without even trying. Eli had been aboard for 3 months when the strange moment happened. He did not know it would become a memory he would never forget. It began as a normal day. The ship's water recycling system had been giving off a strange sound all night, and the captain asked Eli to inspect it. He found Lyra already waiting beside the large silver machinery, looking worried. She smiled when she saw him. "You came quickly," she said, her voice soft and musical. "You called for help," Eli replied, setting down his tools. "What's the problem?" Lyra showed him the panel with flashing lights. "Pressure levels are uneven. I cannot fix it alone." "That's all right," Eli said. "We'll check the valves first." They worked side by side, elbows almost touching. Eli had gotten used to her closeness. She was the only Ori who tried not to lean on him or stand in his shadow. As they worked, she asked simple questions about Earth. She liked listening to him talk. Sometimes she wrote his words down, calling them human notes. Today, she asked about human festivals, and Eli explained how people celebrated New Year's with fireworks. Lyra listened with wide eyes, fascinated. She told him that her people celebrated the start of storm season by gathering under glowing coral plants. Eli wished he could see that someday. After an hour of work, Eli found the problem a blockage in one of the lower pipes. He had to crawl under the machine to fix it. Lyra waited above him, handing him tools when he needed them. They worked smoothly together, almost like a team that had trained for years. When Eli finally slid out from under the system, covered in metallic dust and sweat, he sighed in relief. "It should work now," he said, wiping his forehead. Lyra pressed a button on the control panel. The lights stopped flashing. The machine hummed smoothly again. She clapped her hands in delight. "You saved our water," she said. "You must be tired. Come with me." Eli stood up slowly. "Where to?" "To the cleansing chamber." For a moment the words didn't register. Eli blinked. "The what?" Lyra tilted her head, confused by his reaction. The cleansing chamber. You are covered in dirt. It is normal for workers to cleanse together after repairs. That is what my people do. Eli froze where he stood. He knew the Ori bathed communally. He had heard rumors about their open cleansing rooms with mist fountains, water streams, and circular pools. But he had never gone near them. On Earth, showering was a private activity. You didn't invite co-workers to join you. You didn't even imagine a colleague suggesting such a thing. His heart began to beat faster. Lyra, he said carefully. Humans don't usually shower together. She blinked again, now more puzzled than before. You do not cleanse after work? We do, he said quickly. Just alone. In private. Lyra looked genuinely shocked. Private? You mean alone? In a chamber? Yes, Eli said, feeling embarrassed even saying it. Alone. Roan. Lyra frowned softly, trying to understand. But why? That sounds sad. Also dangerous. What if you slip and no one is there to help? Eli rubbed the back of his neck. We just prefer privacy. It's normal for us. Lyra pressed her hands together thoughtfully. Her fingers glowed faintly, a sign she was thinking deeply. Eli, I do not wish to offend you. I invited you because you worked hard. Cleansing together is our way of showing respect. It means trust. It means we are grateful for your help. Her words were sincere. She was not teasing him. She was not trying to do anything strange. This was simply her culture. Eli felt a sudden warmth in his chest at her honesty, but he still felt extremely uncomfortable with the idea. I appreciate that, he said gently. But for humans, sharing a shower is very personal. Too personal. Lyra nodded slowly, understanding starting to form in her expression. I did not know. No human explained this to us before. Well, now you know, Eli said with an awkward smile. But Lyra wasn't finished. She stepped closer, still keeping a respectful distance that she had learned from him. If I ask you again in my way, would it still make you uncomfortable? Eli swallowed. Probably, yes. She nodded once, firmly, as if making a promise. Then I will not ask like that again. I will ask in your way. Would you like to clean yourself alone while I wait outside? I can bring you a fresh uniform. Eli felt the tension in his shoulders loosen. She didn't fully understand his culture yet, but she was trying. And for him, that effort meant everything. That would be great, he said softly. Thank you, Lyra. She smiled brightly, happy to do something he was comfortable with. She led him to a small, private chamber, normally used by visiting diplomats, who required isolation. She closed the door behind him and waited patiently in the hallway. As he washed the dirt off, Eli kept thinking about how easily misunderstandings could happen between species, and how lucky he was that Lyra had handled everything with kindness instead of pressure. When he stepped out, dressed in a new uniform she had fetched, Lyra handed him a warm, nutrient drink. For your strength, she said gently. Eli accepted it, feeling calmer. Lyra, thanks for understanding. She smiled. And thank you for telling me. Now I know more about humans. Nondermander. 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 As they walked back to the main corridor, Eli realized something important. Lyra had invited him to bathe not out of boldness, but out of trust. She had meant it as a gift, not a shock. And though he still felt awkward, he also felt grateful. Their friendship, strengthened by this small, strange moment, became deeper than before. On a ship full of new things, Lyra was slowly becoming the one presence he could rely on. Their day had been ordinary until that moment. After that, nothing felt ordinary again. Eli woke up the next morning, still thinking about the strange but honest moment he had shared with Lyra. He lay in his bunk for a few minutes, staring at the soft ceiling lights as they slowly brightened to match the ship's daytime cycle. On Earth, he used to wake to the sound of city traffic or his alarm clock. On the Ori vessel, mornings were silent, except for a gentle hum from the energy cores. It felt peaceful, almost too peaceful, except for the memories of yesterday that kept replaying in his mind. He remembered the look on Lyra's face when she realized he was uncomfortable. She hadn't been offended. She had been surprised, genuinely surprised, that privacy mattered so much to him, and then she had adapted quickly, offering him space in a respectful way. It had left a strong impression on him. He wondered what she was thinking now. Did she feel embarrassed? Did she worry she had crossed a line? Eli hoped not. The truth was, he respected her more because she cared enough to listen. After a few minutes, he got up, changed into his uniform, and headed toward the water recycling wing for his daily inspection. When he arrived, he saw Lyra standing near the entrance, holding a data tablet close to her chest. She seemed unusually still, as if waiting for him. When he approached, she lifted her head and smiled, but her smile was softer than usual. "Good morning, Eli," she said. "Morning," he replied. "You're here early. I wanted to speak with you before we start work," she said gently. Eli felt a small knot of worry in his stomach. He didn't want her to feel guilty about anything. "Sure," he said. "What's on your mind?" Lyra looked down at her hands for a moment before meeting his eyes again. "I spent most of the night thinking about what you told me yesterday," she said. "About privacy, about showering alone. I never realized how different our ways were." "That's okay," Eli said quickly. "You didn't do anything wrong. It was just a cultural misunderstanding." "Yes," she agreed softly. "But I still want to understand your ways better. I thought I did before, but now I see there is more to learn." Eli relaxed. Lyra wasn't upset, she was determined. That was her nature. She approached every unknown with curiosity, not judgment. "It goes both ways," he said. "I need to understand your culture better too." Lyra's eyes brightened a little. "Then, maybe we can learn together." Eli smiled. "I'd like that." With the tension cleared, they started their morning tasks. Lyra walked beside him, giving him more space than usual. It was obvious she was trying hard to respect his comfort zone. And Eli felt both grateful and guilty. He didn't want her to change who she was. He just wanted them to meet halfway. He decided to show her that he appreciated her effort. "You don't have to stay too far," he said gently. "I'm okay if you walk beside me. Just not too close. You know?" Lyra nodded thoughtfully and adjusted her pace. As they worked, Lyra continued asking questions not about machines this time, but about humans. "Eli, do humans always keep distance? Even from friends?" she asked, as he checked the valve pressure. "Not always," he said. "Friends can stand close, but we still like to choose when and how." She looked interested. "So closeness is optional?" "Exactly," Eli said. "We choose when we're comfortable with it." Lyra processed his words carefully. "For my people, closeness is a sign of safety," she said. "When someone stays far away, we think they dislike us or do not trust us. That explains why everyone gathers so tightly in the hallways." Eli laughed. "I thought they were just curious." "I graphed. I crom. They are curious," Lyra admitted with a small smile. "But also comforted by your presence. You are different. New things make us feel connected." Eli felt warmth in his chest. "I didn't know that. And I did not know humans feel safer with space," she said. "We see distance as coldness, not comfort." Their slow exchange of cultures felt light, almost calming. Eli realized how little he had understood about the Ori. He had seen their closeness as overwhelming, but now it seemed more like instinct, like a habit they didn't even think about. After finishing repairs, they walked toward the observation deck, a quiet place Eli loved. Lyra came along willingly, even though most Ori found the empty space unsettling. The deck had a wide window that stretched across the wall, showing a peaceful view of distant stars swirling like white dust. Lyra hugged her tablet to her chest as she looked out the window. "This room is strange," she murmured. "Strange how?" Eli asked. "It is too open," she said honestly. "I feel exposed, as if someone can see every thought in my mind." Eli chuckled. "On Earth, people love open spaces. They feel free." Lyra turned to him, her silver eyes reflecting the soft lights. "Perhaps I can learn to enjoy it too, if you stay here with me." Eli didn't miss the meaning behind her words. She wasn't just trying to understand him, she was trusting him. He nodded. "I'm here." They stood together, silent but comfortable, watching small comets streak across the dark. The silence felt natural. Neither needed to fill it with words. After a few minutes, Lyra spoke again, but more hesitantly. "Eli, may I ask another personal question?" "Sure. Do humans dislike physical contact?" "All contact." Eli shook his head. "No. Touch is fine sometimes, like a handshake or a pat on the shoulder. It just depends on the person." Lyra seemed relieved. "Then, may I ask something difficult?" Eli braced himself. "Ask anything." She took a soft breath. "Yesterday, when I invited you to cleanse with me, did you feel insulted?" Eli's eyebrows rose. "No, not at all. I just panicked because it's not something humans expect. You didn't insult me." Lyra's shoulders relaxed. "Good. I feared I damaged our friendship." "You didn't," Eli said firmly. "If anything, I think we understand each other more now." Lyra's smile returned, warm and bright. "Then I am glad." They spent the afternoon repairing a malfunctioning mist pump near the hydroponic gardens. It required them to crawl through narrow tunnels, pass tools to each other, and communicate clearly. Their teamwork was smoother than ever. Where once their movements felt awkward, now they felt synchronized. Eli even found himself appreciating Lyra's presence beside him. She was careful, patient, and always ready to help. While they rested between tasks, Lyra asked him to tell her a human story. Eli thought for a moment before telling her about a mountain rescue team on Earth who depended entirely on each other during dangerous climbs. Lyra listened with deep interest, occasionally asking questions about fear, survival, and human courage. When he finished, she rested her chin on her hands thoughtfully. "Humans are very strong," she said softly. "Not only in body, in spirit." Eli scratched his cheek. "We just try hard." Lyra shook her head gently. "No. It is more than trying. You walk into a new world, far from your people, far from everything familiar, and you still stand steady. That is strength." Eli didn't know what to say. Coming from Lyra, the compliment felt meaningful. As their long day came to an end, they walked back toward the crew quarters. Just before they parted ways, Lyra stopped him. "Eli," she said quietly, "I want you to know something." "What is it?" "I may not understand everything about humans yet, but I want to learn. Not because I must, but because you are my friend. And friends learn each other's ways." Eli felt a soft warmth spread through him. "And I'll learn yours too. We're both new to this." She gave him a grateful smile before turning toward her wing of the ship. As Eli watched her walk away, he realized how rare it was to meet someone who listened so carefully, who tried so hard to understand. Their worlds were different, but their connection felt real. Built not on similarity, but on patience. That night, as he lay in his bunk, Eli thought about the future. If two people from completely different species could communicate so honestly, then maybe humans and Ori could build something great together. Maybe misunderstandings could become bridges instead of walls. And somewhere on the ship, Lyra lay awake too, thinking about Eli, about his strange but gentle customs, his careful explanations, and his willingness to trust her even when he felt uncomfortable. She smiled softly in the dim lights. They were learning, step by step. And something strong was growing between them. The next few days passed, with an easy rhythm. Eli and Lyra worked together on several systems, from broken heat panels to a faulty gravity stabilizer. Their teamwork grew even stronger, and the ship's crew began to notice how well the human and the Ori scientist complemented each other. Some crew members even started giving them extra tasks as a pair, hoping their mixed skills would solve problems faster. Eli didn't mind. Working with Lyra made every day feel calmer. Even the alien machines felt less intimidating when she was beside him. But on the 5th day, everything changed. The ship was moving through a region of space filled with rocky debris, small meteors drifting silently like specks of dust. Normally, the ship's shields were strong enough to handle such things. But that morning, a powerful energy surge hit the vessel, weakening the shield just as a cluster of fast-moving rocks passed by. The ship shook violently, throwing Eli off balance. Alarms screamed through the halls, red lights flashing across every surface. Lyra grabbed Eli's arm. "Hull breach in Section 12, she shouted over the noise. Eli steadied himself. "That's near the water systems." Before they could react, another impact hit the ship. The floor trembled so hard that Lyra stumbled into Eli. He held her upright, but both of them could hear the strange hissing sound coming from the vents nearby. "Toxic vapor," Lyra said immediately, her voice tight. The meteor strike damaged a chemical tank. Eli's eyes widened. "We need to seal this area." Lyra touched a control panel on the wall, but it sparked and shut down. "Systems aren't responding." Before they could try again, a heavy emergency door dropped from the ceiling, splitting the hallway in half. Eli jumped backward. But he wasn't fast enough. The door slammed down between him and Lyra, sealing him inside the toxic zone while she remained on the safe side. "Eli!" Lyra shouted, slamming her hands against the thick metal. Eli coughed as the air grew sharp and acidic. "I'm okay, just a little trapped." Her eyes widened with fear. "Do not breathe deeply. The vapor dissolves the lungs of most species. You must hold on." 9. Eli covered his mouth with his sleeve, but he could already feel the air burning his throat. He tried to think fast. There has to be a way out. Is there another exit? Lyra shook her head quickly. "Not in this section. There is only one route, the maintenance ducts that run under the floor." Eli blinked through the haze. "Can I reach them?" Lyra hesitated. "Not you. They're too narrow for a human body. Only someone my size can pass." Eli tried to smile weakly. "Then I guess you're my best chance." Lyra didn't wait. She spun around and sprinted down the hallway toward the nearest duct entrance. Eli could hear her footsteps fade as the vapor grew thicker. He forced himself to crouch low to the floor where the air was slightly cleaner. His vision blurred, and the world seemed to grow heavier, as if gravity had increased. Minutes felt like hours. His lungs ached. His head spun. The emergency lights flickered overhead, casting long shadows across the sealed hallway. Eli leaned against the wall, struggling to stay awake. Then he heard something, a faint sound, metal scraping from below. "Eli!" Lyra's voice echoed up from the floor, muffled but urgent. "I am here. Hold on." Eli looked down and saw a square panel in the floor slowly rising. Lyra pushed it aside and climbed out of the narrow duct, her hair tangled, her arms covered in silver dust. She was breathing hard from the effort, but she didn't hesitate. She crossed the space between them quickly and helped him stand. "You're late," Eli joked weakly. Lyra shook her head. "You are terrible at joking when you are dying." "I'm not dying." Eli said, even though he felt close to collapsing. Lyra slipped an emergency mask over his face. The clean air entered his lungs, easing the burning instantly. She helped him lean on her shoulder. We must move. The vapor will thicken again soon. Together, they crouched down and climbed into the small duct she had used earlier. Eli barely fit. His shoulders scraped the metal walls, and his boots dragged loudly as he crawled. Lyra guided him, moving ahead to pull him forward when he struggled. She kept talking to him to make sure he stayed conscious. Eli, listen to me, she said softly. You must keep breathing slowly. The mask will work only for a short time. Got it, he whispered, his voice weak. After several minutes of crawling, they emerged inside a different chamber, the emergency cleansing room. Lyra pulled him out of the duct and helped him sit beneath the purifying water streams. The clear mist began to wash away the thin layer of vapor clinging to his uniform. Eli closed his eyes, letting the cool water soothe his skin. His breathing steadied. This time, Lyra said softly, kneeling beside him. You do not need to panic. This is not about culture. This is about survival. Eli opened his eyes. Lyra sat close, watching him with deep worry etched on her silver face. Her hands trembled slightly. A rare sign of fear for an Ori. You saved my life, he said, quietly. Lyra shook her head. You saved mine many times in work. I am simply returning what you gave. That's not how it works, Eli said. You crawled through a dangerous duct and dragged me out of a sealed room. You acted faster than anyone else could. Lyra lowered her head. I could not lose you. Something shifted in Eli's chest. He realized the truth behind her words. The closeness she had always shown wasn't just cultural instinct. It was care, deep, sincere care that came from her heart, not simply her customs. He reached out carefully and placed his hand on hers. She looked up in surprise. I understand now, he said softly. Your closeness. Your way of caring. It's not something to fear. It's who you are. Lyra's eyes softened. And I understand you too. Your need for space is not rejection. It is your comfort. For a moment, they simply sat together under the gentle streams of water. Not speaking, not moving, but fully understanding each other for the first time. The silence felt warm, not strange. Soft lights shimmered through the mist, giving the room a peaceful glow. After several minutes, Eli tried to stand but stumbled. Lyra caught him instantly, supporting his weight with surprising strength. You are still weak, she said firmly. You must rest. I'm fine, he argued, though he wobbled again. She shook her head. You risked yourself to repair this ship many times. Now you must allow someone to care for you. Eli sighed, giving up the argument. All right. But only because you asked so nicely. Lyra gave a small laugh, soft and melodic. Then she helped him walk toward the recovery beds. She stayed beside him the entire time, making sure he didn't fall. Even when he lay down, she remained sitting on the chair next to him, refusing to leave. You don't have to stay, he said sleepily. I will stay, Lyra replied. Until you wake. Eli smiled faintly. I guess I'm getting used to your way of caring. And I am getting used to yours, she whispered. His eyes closed. The last thing he saw was Lyra watching over him, her expression gentle and full of relief. As he drifted into sleep, Eli realized something important. Their connection wasn't just friendship anymore. It wasn't just teamwork. It was something deeper built through danger, trust, understanding, and moments neither of them had expected. And somewhere deep inside, Lyra felt the same. Eli woke slowly, feeling as if he had slept for an entire day. The first thing he sensed was warmth, not from the bed, but from the gentle light beside him. When he opened his eyes, he found Lyra sitting where she had promised. Her hands folded neatly on her lap, her eyes half closed but still awake. She looked tired, yet peaceful, as if she had spent the whole night guarding him. When she noticed he was awake, her face brightened instantly. "Eli," she said softly, "you are conscious again." "I am relieved." He smiled weakly. "How long was I out?" Quote, 8 hours, she answered. "The medical system said you needed deep rest." "Well," Eli said, stretching his sore arms, "you staying the whole time wasn't necessary." Lyra tilted her head. "For humans, perhaps not. For me, it was necessary. You are important. I could not leave you alone in a recovery room." Eli felt warmth in his chest. He wasn't used to someone saying things like that so openly. Humans often hid strong feelings behind polite words. The Ori didn't, they spoke freely. Honestly, without fear. He admired that about them. "How's the ship?" he asked. "Stabilized," Lyra replied. "The captain sealed off the damaged areas. Engineers are repairing the hull. Everything is safe now." "Good," Eli said with a tired sigh. "I'm glad." Lyra stood and walked closer to his bed, her expression suddenly serious. "I must ask you something," she said. "Did the cleansing room frighten you again? Or was it easier this time?" Eli understood the meaning behind her question. She wasn't talking about the water or the room. She was talking about the closeness, the emotional closeness between them. "It was easier," he said truthfully, "because I knew you were trying to help. And I wasn't thinking about culture. I was thinking about survival. And trust." Lyra's shoulders relaxed. "Then I am glad. I worried I caused discomfort again." "No," Eli said softly. "You did everything right." They shared a quiet moment. The hum of the ship was soft, almost gentle, as if the whole vessel was finally resting after the crisis. Lyra reached into a small bag beside her chair and took out a container. "I brought you nutrient soup," she said. "From the human food section. I learned how to warm it correctly." He laughed softly. "You learned how to heat soup just for me?" "Yes," she said seriously. "I practiced 3 times. Burned 1 batch." Eli shook his head with a smile. "You didn't have to do all that." "I wanted to," she said simply. She handed him the soup, and Eli took a slow sip. It was warm, maybe too warm, but he didn't mind. What mattered to him was the intention behind it. He looked at her, over the rim of the cup. "Lyra," he said gently, "you don't have to change everything you do for me." Lyra blinked. "I am not changing everything. Only the things that make you uncomfortable. Friendship means adapting." Eli nodded. "And I'll adapt too. To your ways. Maybe not perfectly, but I'll try." Her expression softened with quiet happiness. "Then we are equal," she said. "We both give, and we both learn." Later that day, the captain called both of them to the command room. Eli walked carefully, still dizzy, but Lyra stayed beside him the whole way, ready to catch him if he lost his balance again. When they arrived, the captain, a tall Ori with glowing blue lines on his arms, looked at them with gratitude. "Eli of Earth," the captain said formally, "your actions helped save our vessel. You risked your life to fix the damaged systems. For that, we thank you." Eli felt shy under the attention. "I just did my job." Lyra spoke up proudly. "He did more than his job. When the system failed, he acted without fear. Without him, the entire water sector might have collapsed." The captain nodded. "Then your friend speaks truth. You are brave, Eli Ward." Hearing Lyra call him friend in front of the captain made Eli's chest feel warm. It felt like the word carried weight, a deep meaning among the Ori. The captain dismissed them after giving Eli a rest order. As they walked back, Lyra stayed quiet, but Eli could sense her thinking deeply. "What's on your mind?" he asked. Lyra turned to him. I am thinking about yesterday. About the moment I saw the emergency door close between us. I felt fear I have never known before. Eli slowed his steps. I thought I would lose you, she said softly. It felt terrible. Like falling into darkness. Eli didn't know what to say. He hadn't thought about how she might have felt in that moment. He had been too focused on surviving. Lyra, he said gently. I'm okay. You saved me. She nodded, but her eyes held something deeper, something she wasn't sure she should say. They walked in silence until they reached the observation deck. Without thinking, both stepped inside. The stars outside glowed softly, forming a wide canvas of swirling silver and blue. Eli leaned against the railing, and Lyra stood beside him. This time, she did not keep too much distance, nor did she stand too close. She found a comfortable middle. I have been thinking, Lyra said, her voice barely above a whisper, about humans and Ori. About how different we are. Your people prefer space, and mine prefer closeness. Your people value privacy, and mine value sharing. Eli looked at her. Lyra turned to him, her eyes glowing with soft silver light. But maybe difference is not a barrier. Maybe it is a bridge. Eli felt his breath catch. What do you mean? I mean, Lyra hesitated, searching for words. When I am near you, I do not feel the same fear of distance. And when you are near me, you do not feel the same discomfort as before. We are learning each other. Step by step. Eli smiled softly. Yeah, we are. Lyra took a slow breath. Eli, I want to ask something important, but not in a way that frightens you. Crew 4. Go ahead, he said gently. May I stay close to you? She asked, her voice soft and careful. Not because of my culture, not because of habit, but because it feels right. Eli's heart beat faster, not from fear, but from something warm and honest. That's okay, he said quietly. Lyra stepped a little closer, not too much, not too little, just enough for both of them to feel comfortable. She rested her arm lightly beside his, their hands not touching but close enough that they could if they wanted to. For a long time, they stood together, watching the stars. No alarms, no danger, no misunderstandings. Just peace. After a while, Lyra spoke again, her voice warm. Eli. For what? He asked. For trusting me, she said. For letting me learn your ways. For learning mine. Eli nodded. Thank you too. For saving me. For understanding me. And for trying so hard. Lyra smiled gently. We are a good pair. He chuckled softly. As the stars drifted past the observation window, two completely different beings stood side by side, not confused, not uncertain, but connected by something stronger than differences. The kind of understanding that only grows through shared danger, quiet kindness, and honest effort. Eli realized then that cultural lines didn't matter anymore. What mattered was trust. What mattered was respect. What mattered was the quiet certainty that, in a vast and strange galaxy, he had found someone who cared deeply, and he cared too. And Lyra, standing close beside him, felt the same truth. She had found someone who didn't fear her instincts, but respected them. Someone who didn't run from her closeness, but grew comfortable with it. Someone she could trust completely. They didn't speak again for a long while. They simply watched the stars together, letting silence act as their shared language. The human who needed space and the alien who needed closeness had finally found the perfect balance together.